Let's bring in our A-team this morning. Jessica Tarlov is a Fox News contributor. Lisa Booth, senior fellow at Independent Women's Voice, also a Fox News contributor. And Tim Carney, Washington Examiner commentary editor.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. What about that? I mean, the White House is saying you don't get a do-over on the Mueller investigation, and Democrats obviously aren't happy with what Mr. Mueller came up with.
Well, I mean, it is asking for a do-over. The Trump administration took an active role, an active part in the Mueller investigation that lasted for almost 2 years, had an exhaustive amount of resources at their disposal, and still found no collusion. Even look at someone like Don McGahn sitting down with the special counsel for over 30 hours. So it's absolutely ridiculous at this point. And I think what we're seeing from the left right now is this active attempt to try to undermine Attorney General Barr because they're fearful of what's to come with the investigating the origins of the Russia investigation. Take, for instance, even before the Mueller report, we knew that the FBI withheld critical information that the DNC and Hillary Clinton had paid for the dossier. Now, because of the Mueller report, we know that there was no collusion. So they used baseless allegations, Democrat-funded opposition research to obtain FISA warrants and potentially, according to the New York Times, even Russian disinformation. So I think some damning information is going to come as they continue to investigate.
You know, Jessica, you heard all along the way, 2 years from Democrats, let this play out. Let Robert Mueller do his job. Let's see the report. The report comes out. How do you make the case that they're not asking for a do-over?
Oh, because Bob Mueller didn't make a decision on obstruction of justice. Bill Barr made a decision about that. There was not provable conspiracy. Collusion was a made-up term that we created here, but there were pieces of evidence for it. Bob Mueller should testify. There are a number of Republicans who also feel that way. And it's the right of Congress to do oversight. That's constitutional. So if they want to call people and have them refute their subpoenas, then they're going to go through the process holding people in contempt. This is the same thing that Republicans would do if they were in control right now of the House. And I don't understand what the big objection is here. Don McGahn testified for 30 hours. There are more questions to ask of him. Bill Barr has given testimony that a lot of people feel actually was tantamount to lying and contradicting himself. Get Bob Mueller in front of the committees. Open up your doors. The president didn't talk to Bob Mueller. His son didn't talk to Bob Mueller. There are more questions to be asked. I don't see what the problem is.
Congress has a very big role to play when it comes to oversight. But there's a lot better places I think they should be applying oversight on Donald Trump. I'm very bothered. At the Examiner, we've been writing editorials about his business interests, how they might be overlapping with U.S. government action. A guy owns country clubs, hotels, has foreign governments coming and visiting. This is a proper role for congressional oversight, and I'll tell you why. Because we're not really talking about things that are illegal as far as, you know, a foreign dignitary staying at his hotel, but they could be corrupt and corrupting, in which case Congress should find out about it and then maybe change the law to prevent this corruption from occurring. Right. That's where I would like to see oversight, not a do-over of the Mueller report.
All right, well, Lisa, you got to hear Lindsey Graham because he says Democrats are going nuts over this. Here's Lindsey Graham.
What you see happening is congressional committees are now beginning to take the place of prosecutors, and that's dangerous for us all. They want to impeach Barr. They want him to resign. They want me to resign, and they think Brett Kavanaugh was Bill Cosby in high school. These people are going nuts.
Nuts, because I think that the FBI and the DOJ are going to be, and including the Obama administration, are going to be exposed as corrupt in their handling of the Russia investigation. I mean, even take, for instance, we're told that the investigation started with the conversation between Papadopoulos and Alexander Downer, but we know that the FBI had met with Christopher Steele prior to launching Operation Crossfire Hurricane. Christopher Steele had already been employed by Fusion GPS and had already started with the dossier, but it took the State Department one meeting with Christopher Steele to realize that he was full of it, and also to realize that he had a political animus behind what he was trying to do. Why didn't the FBI reach that conclusion earlier, meeting with him before launching the investigation, and also before obtaining FISA warrants?
If we have the IG report that's going to come from Huber, you now have the fellow, I'm forgetting his name, in Connecticut that's also looking into the origins.
John Durham.
So, John Durham. That should satisfy Republicans who are after this. I feel like we have looked at the origins of it. I believe it did start with Papadopoulos. You have Christopher Wray, the head of the FBI, testifying last week saying that he doesn't think that this was spying. This was a counterintelligence investigation that needed to occur. That's the guy who's in charge of the FBI that President Trump was having.
What is the difference between counterintelligence and spying?
Well, spying, at least
surveillance and spying.
Yeah.
They're literally
whether
the
it's
same thing.
I don't think
It's
that
a
they are.
semantics
Well, why
game.
does Christopher
Obviously.
Wray think that they're not the same thing? It's whether there's cause
He
to
has
be
an
doing
invested
something.
interest in protecting
Oh, really?
the FBI.
It wasn't his investigation.
The point is we are getting this investigation. As you point out, John Durham looking into this is good. One of the things I hate about politics today is everybody freaking out about being investigated. Guess what? The Mueller investigation, had Trump not made such a fuss about it the whole time, he could have walked out and just said, look, they looked into me, I opened the books, and I'm clean. John Durham's going to investigate it. Let's read what he produces instead of going nuts about the fact that people are looking into this.
All right.
Congress is supposed to investigate, and the executive branch is supposed to investigate how government works.
But first of all, we should make the point, nobody's a CIA analyst here. So when we talk about spying and surveillance, William Barr will be a good guy to ask about that, and Bill Hemmer will have that conversation with him. So we'll see where that goes. But do you worry, Jessica, that Democrats are overreaching here? I mean, 2020 quickly approaching. Is this a good strategy to continue this?
It's part and parcel of a bigger strategy. Nancy Pelosi has been clear about this. Oversight is a constitutional right for Congress. You have that. We are going to be running on health care, just like we did in 2018 when we took back 40 seats in Congress. I think Tim is absolutely correct here that there is more to this puzzle than just what's gone on with Bob Mueller. You have people at SDNY as well looking into this, into the financial records. But not complying with subpoenas is a very serious thing to do. I understand Bill Barr thinks it's a bit of a joke. He kind of laughed it off. And then there's an anecdote from this week where he went up to Nancy Pelosi at a party and said, have you got your cuffs on you? That's not
that was at the police memorial yesterday.
Yeah. So those kind of jokes, I'm not sure how funny it's going to be as we get deeper and deeper into this, because not complying with a subpoena is actually a serious thing.
Let the courts decide. And also, I think that Democrats realize the danger in overreaching here, which is why Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to move on the track of
Impeachment is different.
Because she recognizes that the Democratic majority in the House would be at stake if that's something that Democrats would move forward with.
And this is why Robert Ray's point that we started with is crucial, that the Congress gets a lot more power to get all this documents if it's part of an impeachment proceeding. If they just want to do a quasi-impeachment, they don't get it all.
The debate continues.
It does.
Thank you to you, and I know you ladies will be making a return later in the hour. And